Welcome back to another episode, family. Today is Sunday, July 23rd. And as the offseason keeps rolling along, I knew eventually we'd have to do the champions. I knew eventually we'd have to get the Denver Nuggets, man. So that's exactly what we got today. We have the Denver Nuggets offseason preview. And I'll be honest, I didn't know too many Denver Nuggets fans. So I had to ask around. I talked to my guy Garrett, talked to my guy Super Smash Mario Hoops, and he pointed me to a great person, my guy Willie G, who's now here representing the Nuggets for this offseason episode. My guy, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. Glad to be on. Always happy to talk hoops, especially about the champions, the Nuggets. So, I'm excited. Let's do this.
Yes, sir, man. Let's go ahead and do this. And for the family out there, if you want to keep up with Willie G's work, I'm going to link his Twitter in the description down below. Make sure you guys go get at him, throw him a follow. He's got some great Denver Nuggets takes that he gets into, man. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. So look, my guy, the Denver Nuggets finished as the first seed in the playoffs. They beat the Timberwolves in 5, beat the Phoenix Suns in 6, beat my Lakers unfortunately in 4, and then brought it home by beating the Miami Heat in 5, making themselves the first time NBA champions in franchise history. So what I usually ask at the top of the episode is, are you happy with the way the season went? But it'd be a crazy question to ask you if you're happy. So what I want to know is, and tell me honestly, tell me the truth. Did you have the Denver Nuggets winning the championship at the beginning of the season?
Honestly, I did, man. So I'm gonna throw it back to 2017. I was at work back when we worked in the office because I work from home now, and I told a good friend of mine. I told her, book it from 2018 to 2024, somewhere in that range. The Nuggets are gonna win a championship. I think it took a little bit longer than I honestly thought. Obviously with the bubble season, Jamal Murray's ACL injury and PJ's back injury. So obviously those were 2-3 years that hampered my realistic time frame. But I said that back in 2017, and I'm sticking by that. I thought this was the year, especially when they went and got KCP, Double B, Bruce Brown. I thought they got the players that they lost when they traded Gary Harris, when they didn't resign, well, he left for his own reasons, Jeremy Grant. They were able to make up with those type of defenders. So, when they got those acquisitions, I said, as long as everybody's healthy, without seeing how Michael Porter Jr. was going to bounce back from his third back surgery and how Jamal was going to do from his ACL, as long as those guys came back to be 80% of themselves, I was confident they were going to win it all.
Man, that's actually really cool to hear, because I know most people. I'll be honest. I did not have the Denver Nuggets winning at the beginning of the season. As the season started to roll along, I'm like, okay, wow, they're looking extremely dominant. So maybe as the season rolled along, I kind of came to that senses. But beginning of the season, definitely didn't have it. So it's crazy to see. You said from anywhere from 2018 to 2024, you could book a championship. Wow, that's wild. Okay, so then let me ask you this: was throughout the season at any point did you have doubts? Because as we all know, it's an 82 game season. It's not always highs. It's some roller coasters, and especially with the Denver Nuggets. I know at the end of the season when Jokic didn't really care as much for that MVP, kind of started playing a little bit less, and a lot of people were getting on the Denver Nuggets and Jokic. So throughout that season, at any point, did you ever have doubts?
I wouldn't say if you call them doubts. I think it's kind of the same time period you're saying, late March, early April. I'm pretty sure they were just ready to, get the playoffs. But basketball is a rhythm game, so I knew they were good enough, even playing bad or just, trying to get through the season. But I was worried. I was like, they have no rhythm. They have no rhythm going into the playoffs. I mean, at that time, we didn't know who was going to play, right? Because the play-in tournament and everything like that. But I was like, if they catch the wrong team, eventually sure they swept the Lakers. But I was like, if they catch the Lakers in the first round, if the Lakers fall to the 8th seed after the play, and I could be worried right there, because it's all a rhythm game. That's how basketball is. It's a rhythm game. So that was just my concern. As long as they had a good rhythm, which obviously they did, right? They didn't Timberwolves in 5. Honestly, they probably should have swept them game 4. Jokic dropped, I think it was like 41, 43 points, somewhere around there. So I think they could have probably took in game 4 if they really wanted to. But as long as they had the rhythm, no concerns. No concerns.
Man, I like what you said right there. You said basketball is a game of rhythm. I love that. It's all about being in flow, and if you're rolling as a team, as a player, man, there's nothing more dangerous. So I like what you said about that. But what I want to ask on is that you touched on, you said, maybe if the Lakers want to land on that 8th seed, and that was maybe a little bit sign of concern. So you guys eventually did play the Lakers. You played Phoenix, and then you also played the Timberwolves, and then of course the Miami Heat in the finals. But what I want to know is, to you, which series to you were you most concerned in? Were you most like, ooh, man, we got to be careful right here?
Most concerned, probably Phoenix. You could say even from 2 seasons ago when the Suns swept us in the second round, right? Maybe there was some lingering bad taste in our mouths, or at least in my mouth, right, of that possibility. Again, I don't think it was ever going to be a potential of a sweep again for Denver or for Phoenix. But I think that's probably the team that scared me the most. After a few playoff games, obviously having D-Book, having KD. DeAndre Ayton has actually played Jokic pretty well historically in these last couple of seasons. Jokic has actually gotten the better of him, but historically speaking, DA has been one of the best players to match up against Jokic, at least offensively speaking. Sorry. So I think the Suns was probably the most terrifying team, and maybe like I said, it could be that bad taste of a couple years ago, a couple seasons past. Sorry, or just simply put, having those big names. Even CP3. Sure, the game has evolved a bit since his prime, but he's still a dead killer in the mid-range game. And if he gets you in that pick and roll like he did in 2021 when the Nuggets got swept, all they did was put Jokic in a pick and roll, and CP would hit that mid-range. So that was in the back of my mind, when we got matched up against the Suns. But I'm not trying to be cocky or anything like that, but obviously I can't fight with the results. Happy that it played out that way.
Absolutely. And I mean, out of all the teams you guys played, I would be in agreement with you. Like, I definitely thought the Suns were going to be the one that that was going to beat you guys. And the only reason why I thought that is because exactly what you mentioned, Chris Paul being the mid-range god, Devin Booker, he's great at coming off the pick and roll, whether it's mid-range, whether he get into the hoop, whether it's a step back three. We know what Kevin Durant is, arguably the greatest offensive scorer of all time. So that we don't even really got to get into that. Well, you take those three players and you match them up against, and this is before Jokic in that had that great defensive series against the Suns. Because I'll be honest, like I thought that the Suns were going to kill the Denver Nuggets and Jokic on those drop pick and rolls. Jokic was going to drop. If he played up, it's just they were just going to blow right by him. If he dropped, they were going to kill him in the mid range area. But like, I'm not gonna lie, when the Nuggets and Jokic like chess matched that shit and then made it into where that shit isn't a disadvantage, like, yo, that right there took me over the top. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like the Nuggets are on a whole nother level right now as far as coaching, as far as defense, as far as team. Like, Jokic may not have the best individual defense, but that team defense was so crucial in helping him in a lot of those possessions. So once they got past the Suns, I felt pretty confident in the Denver Nuggets getting it done. But what I will say is this, because I'm not gonna act like as a Lakers fan, I'm not gonna act like I wasn't. I'm feeling kind of good because I'll be real. I mean, I definitely knew that the Denver Nuggets had the better overall team than the Lakers, but in my opinion, Anthony Davis just simply didn't play enough games. But if he plays enough games, he's the defensive player of the year almost every single year. So I felt pretty good about having our best player guarding your guys' best player, and then saying the rest, let's leave it up to God and let's hoop. I felt good about a Lakers fan, but that sweep did not make me feel good, though. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, the sweep definitely made me feel good, man. I mean, growing up here in Colorado, everybody's a Laker fan. For some reason, everybody's a Laker fan. I mean, sure, it's the big LA market, right? But all my life, man, I kid you not, always Laker fans. And they're just, playful, shit talking here and there. Like, oh, the Nuggets never gonna win a championship. And I mean, just I see the Kobe poster, man. I remember in 2009 when he broke my heart. What was that? 2009, I was 15 years old, man, and he just took us out in 6 in the Western Conference Finals. And even years prior to that, man, he took us out twice in the first round. So the Lakers have always been like that hump for, at least for me, in my personal life, just that team to beat. So I guess to answer your question, there was a little bit of fear in me facing the Lakers just because of past trauma and things like that. But when they beat the Lakers, man, especially a sweep, I don't care if it was a sweep, just beating the Lakers, that alone felt just as good as a championship to me, honestly, to just get over that hurdle of making the finals, finally beating the bad Lakers, that have always taken us out. So that alone was very, very good.
Man, and to do it in a sweep, like from the Lakers side of things, that shit is just embarrassing, bro. From the Nuggets side, like you sweeping the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, that's crazy, man. That's something to hang your hat on, and then going and winning the championship. That's absolutely, you can't even hate on it. But all right, so then let's move on, I guess, a little bit away from the season. Definitely congratulations to the Nuggets, and let's get a little bit more into the offseason. Biggest news that we got to talk about is Bruce Brown, right? Bruce Brown ends up signing with the Indiana Pacers, 2-year, $45 million. Give me your thoughts on that. But also two-part question. Also, what do you feel like is your guys' chances of winning the championship, this next year going forward without Bruce Brown? Because he was an essential piece of that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, man. I mean, first off, congrats to him. That's life changing money. Nobody can blame him. I was talking to this guy a couple days ago on Twitter also. He's like, well, the Nuggets lost Bruce Brown. How come they didn't resign him? And I was like, he had 44 million reasons to leave Denver. And as much as I hate to say, oh, he should be faithful to the Nuggets. No, you can't blame the guy. He was only paid $8 million or so. I think was the hit that the Nuggets would take on him. So you can't change it. You can't blame him. Sorry, that's life changing money. So, congrats to him. Obviously, going to suck to lose him. Apart from the defensive role that he played, I think the thing that's going to hurt the Nuggets the most, and it's going to depend on how Reggie Jackson, Colorado's own Reggie Jackson, shout out, comes back, I guess, or bounces back. Because the 15 or so games that he was actually in the rotation, he was buns. He really wasn't. I don't know if it's just that midseason adjustment to a whole different team, but he really wasn't the player that the Nuggets needed him to be. So that's the thing that's probably going to happen for the Nuggets. Is the fact that Bruce Brown was pretty much a backup point guard, primary ball handler in the bench rotation, and he could also play some minutes with Jamal Murray. So that's probably what they're going to miss the most. To answer your second question, I think they can, repeat, because I'm really, really high on Peyton Watson, UCLA's own. I think he's a great defender. I comp him to Andre Iguodala. He's athletic like that, just has great defensive IQ. He's always in the right spot. His shot's a little streaky, as they call it, but if he's only a second-year man, practically his rookie season, since he was up and down in the G League and didn't play till the end. But I think he's a very high prospect. So if you can get him good minutes here and there, and obviously he's not going to be Bruce Brown 2.0, but I don't think your defensive is going to drop down that much, because offensively, I still think Denver is, pound for pound, the best offensive team in the league all around. You still got a 6'10" shooter, Michael Porter Jr., 3-point specialist in KCP, AG in the dunker spot, and of course Jamal Murray also at the 3, and then probably top 5 center of all time, Nikola Jokic. So offensively speaking, they're not going to miss a beat. Defensively, I'm really, really high on P-Ball.
Yeah, man, that's a great shout out on P-Wop, man. But as far as Bruce Brown, I think it definitely hurts, to see him go, because like you mentioned, he's great on the defensive end, but he's like one of those players that, and I've been saying this for some time, I think he's the best role player in the entire NBA. He can play so many different roles. If you need him to be a backup point guard, like how he just did in Denver, he can do that. But if you go watch him when he was on the Brooklyn Nets, he was acting like a big man, and he was rolling. He was catching short rolls, catching lobs. Like, I'm telling you, this man can play just about every position out there, and he's somehow a guard and can guard big men. So it definitely hurts to lose Bruce Brown, but he's one of those players that it's grind, it's grit. Like, if you get somebody with the right mindset that's willing to sacrifice like roles, willing to sacrifice their body, willing to do whatever it takes for the team, and just be that dog, man, you like how you said, you can't get a Bruce Brown 2.0. It's the best role player in the league, but you could get somebody to fill in that spot, and it won't really be, it will kind of be like a plug and play situation. So I'm right there with you. I also agree that the Nuggets, with everything that they have left, I mean, only losing Bruce Brown, I think you can still get back to that title run, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all going to be interesting to see, man. And hopefully Reggie Jackson, has some sort of redemption year. He had a good season with the Clippers before he got traded. But like I said, the last month and a half before the playoffs, I don't know if it was just having Thomas Bryant out there, who I'm a big fan of Thomas Bryant, but I don't know if the floor was just too short, if it wasn't spread out properly. I don't know. When they were trying to figure out that second unit, it was too claustrophobic, it felt like. So hopefully Reggie Jackson can come in, have a good season. P. Watt. They also picked up Jalen Pickett, who I think is going to be a great point guard in the future. Somewhere like Monte Morris, just shout out to another Nugget player from the past. It'll be good to see, man. Like I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter or not, but we here in Denver have started saying Calvin Booth knows ball. Calvin Booth, the Nuggets president or GM officially, he knows ball. He knows how to find players, that can obviously be overseen sometimes, so CD knows ball.
Yeah, man. Knowing ball is about half the game, man. So that's big for him. But You kind of touched on best. You were kind of talking about the Denver Nuggets front office, and that's kind of when I want to get my next question, and I want to get into that is, let's say that the Nuggets front office just busted through your front door right now and said, my guy Willie, we need some help. Like, we don't know what direction that we go to in this offseason, and they ask you, like, what's our number one priority heading into this offseason? What would that be to you? What would you answer them?
I'd say finding or working, because I'm pretty high on Zeke Naji also, when they got him out of Arizona back in 2020, technically 2021, whatever, that weird short draft after the bubble was. Just finding a power forward or another big man that, and it's kind of hard to say because Mason Plumlee, I think, he filled that void in perfectly for Jokic. Just finding a player that can shoot or space the floor or facilitate. You're never going to find another Jokic, not even great value Jokic, but another big that can be as serviceable with the second unit. I mentioned Thomas Bryant. I'm pretty big on him. I've always liked his game since he was with the Wizards. But just finding another big man that can facilitate, spread the floor, shoot, knock down shots. That's what I'd say. And they might have one in Vlako Chanchar. He played out in Europe a few years ago. He's been with the Nuggets. Hasn't really been a rotational piece. He can shoot the floor. He calls himself Baby Jokic, actually. So, maybe him. But just finding a power forward or a center that can play in good spurts and help alleviate Jokic, obviously.
Yeah, man. So then you say that. I mean, power forward center. This guy he's still a free agent available. So give me your thoughts on Christian Wood. He is a bit of a defensive liability, but he can definitely be an offensive powerhouse. And as a backup big, how would you feel about that?
Honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't been signed. I'm surprised Dallas didn't re-sign him. I'm just shocked by that. I thought he was a great piece for them when they picked him up from Houston. I don't know if he fits it just depends on, there's so many factors, right? How the bench comes out next season with Reggie, with Christian Brown, with P. Watt, potentially Zeke Naji or Rocco Chanchar, right? I'd be for it. I like Christian Wood ever since he was back with the Pistons. I think he's a very under valued player, obviously with the Mavs not re-signing him. But I just think not defensive liability, because the Nuggets have the defenders to make up for it, especially in the second unit. But he might demand the ball more than what the second unit plays, right? Or I picture them playing, sharing the ball more than they probably would if Christian Wood was on the team.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a great point. If he's just slowing up the flow of the offense, then it might not be a great fit. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. But all right, my brother. So look, man. After you guys just win a championship, swept the Lakers and 4, you guys are still sitting pretty. Because look, Aaron Gordon's got 3 years on his contract, MPJ's got 4 years on his contract, Jamal Murray's got 2 years left, and he's extension eligible, 3 years, $144 million. Jokic just starting his supermax this next season. Shout out Jokic, and then KCP's got 2 years left. So all those core guys, I mean, the only core guy I didn't mention is Bruce Brown. We know what happened to him. All those core guys still have 2+ years left. So you guys are still sitting pretty. So now I got to ask you, like, within you said at the beginning of the pod, from 2018 to 2024, you were going to book a championship. Now, can you give me like a new range of how many championships you think the Denver Nuggets will be able to get? Because I'm telling you, brother, I don't see too many teams that win a championship and are still sitting pretty for the next couple of years. Like my Lakers, when we won a 2020 championship, they just blew that shit up the next year, and it wasn't never sitting pretty anymore. So what I want to know is, like, how many championships can you book within these next couple of years? Or, I mean, guessing, of course.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to go just to 2030, right, end of the decade. In total, counting this championship that they just won, I see 4 to 5. I do think they're going to go back to back. I don't know if we can officially call it a dynasty, because I think they'll go back to back, and then they'll have maybe 1 or 2 seasons, not in mediocrity or anything like that, but I wouldn't call them not contenders, but middle tier, top tier of the Western Conference. And then I feel with some more development with potentially Peyton Watson or Christian Brown, a couple of the rookies they drafted, they'll probably win another 2 towards the end of the decade. So I say 4 to 5. I'm not trying to be cocky like that, but Jokic's game is going to age beautifully. He's not a guy that depends on athleticism. He's not the fastest guy in the world. To quote Stephen A. Smith, he can't jump over a curb. So his game is going to age beautifully as he ages, like fine wine. So as long as you got the best player in the world, lethal shooters, great defenders around him. You got a chance to win any night.
So from now until 2030, anywhere from 4 more or 5 more. I like that. Hey man, if they do one more, they're a dynasty. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah,
They do.
man.
And your prediction for this next year is a back-to-back?
I think they're going to go back to back. Obviously,
Granted injuries, yeah.
Granted injuries, exactly. But as long as everybody stays healthy, Michael Porter, Jamal's ACL, as long as everybody's 100%, I got them back to back.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. Oh, okay. This is an improvised question. All right. I thought of this on as we were talking.
Sure.
I personally was big on before the championship, actually before Jokic's championship. I was big on the Joel Embiid and Jokic, just going back and forth. Joel Embiid and Jokic. I personally used to have Joel Embiid over Jokic. Just last year, just blew Joel Embiid out of the water. Have you always been higher on Jokic since you are a Nuggets fan, or did you, early in his day? Because earlier in both their careers, I feel like Joel Embiid had more of a dominant beginning, but yeah, Jokic just took it in the stretch.
I think that question's kind of hard to answer because I think I've always thought of Jokic being the better player, not because he's on the Nuggets, but just because he's a guy that makes him not just himself better, but all his teammates better. Jeremy Grant got paid. Bruce Brown got paid, playing with Jokic, obviously. So he's a guy that takes everybody to the next level. He always says scoring a basket makes one guy happy, giving the assist gives two guys happy, right? Makes two guys happy, sorry. So I've always thought that Jokic is a better player. I would say when Jokic won his first MVP, if Embiid played more games, I would have given him the MVP. If I had a vote and if he was more available that first MVP that Jokic got, I would have given Embiid the MVP. But now, it's not even comparable. Embiid's still probably a top 5, top 10 player in the game, no question. But there's tiers to it, and Jokic is a whole other tier now.
A whole another tier. And bro, I really like that you said that, brother, especially being a Nuggets fan, because I will die on this hill. I say all the time, Jokic did not deserve both of those MVPs. One of them should have at least gone to Joel Embiid. So I really respect the fact that you as a Nuggets fan could say that, man. But
it's the truth. I mean, like I said, availability is probably the best, trait. So I'll give him to it for that. But that season that Embiid had when Jokic won his first MVP, if Embiid plays 10, 15 games more, he's the MVP, no question.
Man, that's real. That's real. I see. Hey, for the family out there, man, that's a real fan. All right, let's stop with this bias stuff out there, man. That's a real fan. He know the deal. But all right, brother. So then, we've touched on a lot in this in this episode. So as we kind of start to wrap up, what I want to know is, can you give me a word or a phrase to describe about how you felt as a Denver Nuggets fan this last season when y'all won the championship, and then give me another word or another phrase to describe about how you feeling as a Nuggets fan heading into this new season?
So when they won the championship, emotional. I ain't gonna lie, I shed some tears on the couch when they won Game 5. It took a few moments to set in. Like, is it real? Like I said, just growing up, Laker fans, Boston fans, everybody tell me the Nuggets are never going to win anything. And in Colorado, that's the biggest thing too. Like, man, we're in Colorado. How you guys not playing home team? But it's just an emotional feeling. You can't feel it. Shed some tears, and it's just I don't know. It's something that I know even if they are a dynasty, yes, you're gonna be excited about future championships. But that first one, never going to be another feeling like it again. I can guarantee you that. And then for the future or this upcoming season, man, I'm still high on this past season. Even if they don't win back to back, even if they don't even make the playoffs, just even going on Wikipedia now and seeing that there's a 1, next to the championship count next to the Nuggets, that's enough for me, man. But hopefully, like I said, they can win a couple more, be a dynasty. But I'm still high on this past championship, man.
Man, I love it. I love to hear it. And I've been doing the off-season plans for all these teams, and no answer has been as great as that, bro. You be excited last season and you excited this season. I love to hear it. Exactly, I love to hear it, man. All right, well, so I think it's a good place for us to go ahead and wrap up our episode. We touched on a lot of Denver Nuggets topics. But before we get out of here, I do want to give you the floor, my brother. Do you have any last words to say before we sign off out of here?
As always, man, I would say ball is life. Basketball is the greatest sport out there. Get out there, play some ball, talk ball, watch ball. Just enjoy basketball, man. It's one of the greatest sports out there. Just ball is life.
Facts, man. I love that. Ball is life. Definitely get out there, get hooping. And if you don't want to hoop, talk about hoop, man. It'll build connections. It'll transform your life. I'm right there with you, brother. for the family out there, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I mentioned in the beginning, make sure you check out all of my guy Willie G's work. I'll link everything in the description down below. So just make sure you get at him and throw him a follow on Twitter. And then for everybody else that's listening, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We got more off-season plans on the way. But for now, we out of here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.